This actually might be the most excited I've ever been for one of these San Diego market updates. Not just because it's summer, not just because it's World Cup, because the housing market is wild right now. There's been millions of times in our almost, 3 decades of doing this where we kind of just felt like two things were moving almost independent of us and indifferent to us, right? And then so we're like, oh yeah, you want to buy? Cool, I'll help you buy. Yeah. Oh, you want to sell? Cool, I'll help you sell. Oh, you want to get some rates? Okay, cool. Yeah. But right now, it's like, man, folks like us, and I'm not saying this to butter your bread, definitely not mine, are more needed right now than ever before. Let me explain what I'm sharing here. If you just look at the numbers, it looks like the San Diego market right now is crashing.
Yeah. Crash feels harsh, but I know what you mean.
Right? And it ain't booming either.
No.
Right? So it's doing something that's much, much more frustrating. It's just staying tight.
Chilling.
Yeah. You're just like you're a plumber, right? You're doing your thing. You're stacking some chips, right? You're outgrowing your spot. You got a new baby bundle that just outgrew the kids' room, right?
I like this story.
Storage is at a premium. You want a work truck you can pull into your deal. Like, it's time to move up. But then you go click on the AIs or the socials or the this or that's, and you can't find an obvious narrative to tell you whether or not this is a good idea right now or not.
Right.
Right?
Talking heads. So
that's the headline right now, gang. The headline this month is boring AF. It's called stability. You know, we love to base our narratives on data so that we're not perpetuating stories. So let's do that. Closed sales basically flat. Median price flat. I think it's like up 1%.
Okay.
Which, hey,
Yeah.
you know, better than a lot of the other
Year over year.
major metropolitan areas across the country right now,
That's for sure.
which are in the red. And inventory still down again. I think it's 12% from this time last year.
Flat prices.
Yep.
Kind of steady sales data, less inventory.
And everybody, because it's summer, and this is what we do in San Diego, we keep waiting for the big dramatic market break, right? And it hasn't shown up. So, Mr. Plumber, I threw you into this, you know, confabulatory scenario. What say you? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, that's what our buyers are doing right now, right? And getting people pre-approved, and they define their parameters, and they get their golden certificate, and they're kind of waiting, right? Especially if you have a specifically designed neighborhood that you're looking at,
Right.
Or an area or a commute length or whatever that thing is for you. It's not like you just draw out your avatar now and you go get it. You draw out your avatar and you wait for it to show up. And that feels a little bit crazier from like a willpower standpoint, right? Don't jump at the thing you don't want. Hang tight. Be ready when the opportunity actually shows.
Jeremy Beck, over your illustrious, many awarded career. Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's an award you
Thank
haven't
you for
won
saying
yet,
that. Yeah.
including best looking.
Thank you.
Have you ever had a client sit down in front of you and say, you know what, Jer? You know, with big wanting eyeballs, excited, right? Perfect calibration of caffeination, enthusiasm, preparedness.
Painting a nice picture.
And say, can I please share some walls? I would love it if you could get me an HOA.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Scribbling out my top 10 wants.
Right?
Yeah.
And really, there's only one. It's just shared walls. Neighbor partying next door. I want to hear and feel the bass.
New TV mounted to the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Single family homes, which is what everybody wants. Da-dunk.
That's not the didunch.
It wasn't it.
That's the didunch.
They're both blue. That's the problem.
Okay.
Detached, right? That's the fancy word we use, is the scarce asset. Single family inventory down 25% right now countywide. Month of supply is at 2.5 months.
Okay.
And median detached price sitting at about 1.1.
A lot of people out there with $1 million they want to spend.
So what do you do? Like, this is not a buyer's market. You can't say that.
No.
Right? It's a low inventory market where good homes matter more than ever before. What would you say about that?
That makes sense.
So, Mr. Plumber, how do you navigate that?
I think, again, the important part of this is having your defined parameters, right? Know what you want. And that way, when you see it, you know how you can be aggressive to get it, right? Because if there is low inventory, there's high competition for desirable homes.
Yeah.
And you have to be ready to go aggressively. It's just over how many years of doing this, the phone call I get, I'm in contract, I'm shopping for a loan, is just bananas. Don't do it to yourself. You want to be ahead of it so that you're ready to rock and you can be ultimately aggressive with that offer if it's the place that you like, because there's not a lot out there right now.
Give me the one sentence version about why that's the definition of insanity, in case that's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the problem is that if there is high competition and you're not first or second in the door, in that you might miss those opportunities. And that's when you have low inventory and there's not a lot out there and you see that perfect place in that perfect neighborhood with that garage to park your truck in. Like, if you don't have that right then, you're going to miss out. Because guess what? People aren't getting the offers. You're going to know this better, but like, people aren't going to get an offer that they want for the price that they want and then wait around to see if somebody else like they're going to get in the contract and move forward. And those are the ones that it's just heartbreaking to get that call, because people are like, this is the one we've been keeping our eye on. It's across the street. And then they're like, we didn't get it.
Let's say you're a badass athlete.
Okay, that's better.
You're coming out of high school, right? You could have the pick of the litter of the big, perennial schools. They're all trying to give you offers and whatever, which is great and humbling, but it also creates like a little internal conflict. Like, okay, well, I got to this point. I now got my choice of wherever I want to go. But now I've got like anxiety about, these guys say that they're going to, right? Like when they all look good, now it flips to like, it's no longer fun anymore. Now you're afraid of making the wrong decision.
Okay.
So if you base your choice of what school to go to on two things, you can normally, solve for the rest. Number one is, tell me about their program, right? Like all the way through, right? Like, when you walk into the weight room, is every weight put up perfectly?
What's a weight room?
Where you walk into the weight room, are all the weights lined up perfectly to where the actual name of the weight is lined up, right? Is everybody wearing the same thing, like down to the shoelaces, right? Like, everybody can say they got an amazing program and a great culture, but do you see it?
Okay.
Right? So it's the program. Like, what's the program and the history of that? And then the other thing is the leadership. It's like, am I vibing with the coach? Am I feeling this, right? Like, what's the vision? Can I talk? If you solve for those two things, you know that the good players are going to come and the rest is going to take care of itself. That reminds me of this real estate thing. Okay. So let me land this plane. Like, the person who shows up, who has the home that they want, who wants to write the offer, who's just calling the lender for the first time, they probably have convinced themselves, or maybe have had poor leadership, that that's the way to go, right? Like, the challenge is that you don't know what the right school is to pick until you're a year into it. You will never know if the program was great or the coaches were, because everybody's telling you that they're great, right? You won't know until you get into it. That 1 year in metaphor is the same thing as you getting the call on Monday and they wrote an offer on Sunday for the home that they want, and they're calling their lender for the first time.
Right.
That right there is a red flag, gang, right? Like, how well you start is directly proportional to how well you finish. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
The team that you choose, at the very minimum, the lender and the realtor, even though there's a bunch of other invisible players in that are just as important, that is literally everything. It's like, if you get that right, you can get away with a lot of stuff after that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but we get calls like that sometimes where someone clicked on their phone and they did a thing, and now they're doing a thing. And the problem is that might work, right?
Yeah.
Like, that might work. And if it's worked for you, hallelujah, dude. But for most folks, that offer and that scenario and that frequency that shows up to the seller and the listing agent, it has a stench to it. And the concern for that seller with that stench is, even if they're offering the most money or they got good terms on their contract or their loan, the chances of that avatar of buyer being there at the end is slim to none, with Slim hopping on a bus out of town.
That's interesting
And
perspective.
that's the concern. That's why you might not get a yes because you don't even know what you don't even know you don't even know because that's how you're showing up to the listing agent.
Interesting.
Who's communicating that to the seller.
Right. And I don't know if people know this, but listing agents call all the time. They should anyway. So, but they'll say like, "Hey, what have you done?" And if you have an online approval, like, yeah, they might bite, but they're also going to know that you haven't done the work.
Right.
You haven't had an important conversation. You haven't really probably properly gotten underwritten. And they're like, "When did you do this?" You know, or if they can't get anyone on the phone. Like, you're talking about the fiduciary obligation that the listing agent has to the seller.
100%.
Protect me, right? It's all great to get a really high offer, but if it doesn't perform, you're losing money. And so I see more often now sellers agents calling to say, "Hey, where are we?"
Yeah.
And I need the real, right? And it's a really good opportunity to win them over.
Yeah.
Simply by being available, but also saying like, "Yeah, I talked to these guys 30 days ago. We've been on it. We've gone through several scenarios. They're well qualified." Like, just giving them that little nuggie of feeling good about it.
I love that.
I think is super valuable. So it's interesting to hear it from your side too.
So here's where it gets interesting though. Okay. We just got done throwing the detached homes under the bus. Okay. But to every yin, there's a yan.
Some people say yawn, some people say yang.
The attached market, gang, is where we got a little bit more breathing room right now. So check me on this, okay? Condos and townhomes actually have more inventory than last year. Okay, that's sounding familiar.
Yeah.
But the prices softened. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Isn't this what everybody wants, Jer?
I guess.
Isn't this what everybody's been waiting for?
Unless you're trying to sell it.
Money got expensive.
Yeah.
Economy's weird. Didn't we just like get into a war? Right? There's all this stuff. What's going on with come on. Where's my win?
Yeah.
These prices ain't coming down.
Yeah. I'm sure there's tons and tons of pieces of information that are going into this, but I'm sure that one of them is the balcony build out that we talked about last time. Like, some of this stuff, these condos just aren't available to sell, and with conventional financing if you don't have your stuff together. And so if you're taking cash offers, that's going to lower prices.
Yep.
Right? If you're having to give massive concessions because you got an assessment coming down the pipe, all of that is being impacted to some extent for sure.
You're so right that there's a ton of stuff that you didn't even mention, right? HOAs are going up.
Yep.
Right? And then the fire insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a big bag of, but you could look at that like negative, or you could look at that like opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, so inventory, a little bit more, kind of more flat compared to the detached. Dancing right there. Price is softer. That's big. And then days on market, a little longer.
Yeah.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
So it almost kind of feels like the attached market's the little engine that could right now that's kind of chugging along.
Which, if it isn't just obvious, this is great news for first-time home buyers.
Right.
Because this is usually the market that you have to get into in San Diego. You're not going out and buying your multi-million-dollar SFR on your first shot. You're going to have to get into something. And these are the types of places and opportunities where there's a little softness, so you can go in as a first-timer with all your money down and it's barely enough, and still have a conversation and still be in that competing market.
So let's do it like this. So let's just speak to the sellers right now. So sellers in the room, okay? And really just means owners, right? Because every owner is an eventual seller.
Sure.
Right? So just owners. If you're looking at the market right now, the question that you need to ask yourself is this the right time to sell? It's a good market, okay? It's a good market, okay? But it's not a lazy market. Now, what does that mean? Pricing it right, oof, man, that's a big deal. Prepping it. And I'm not talking about going and throwing $100,000, $150,000 into a remodel just to give it to your buyer, right? That's not the market we're in right now. I could do a whole thing just on that. So hit me up if that's something that you're thinking about. People are making the wrong choices right now across the board before they call me, and I come in, they're like, look at all the stuff that I did. And I go, wish you would have called me, because I'm probably going to get about 50% of this back for you.
Yeah.
So that's real. But pricing it prep, but the right prep, smart prep. And then presentation to the market right now. Negotiations matter right now more than ever before. So what that means to me is it's not science right now, gang. It's art. But if you get that art right, it's a good market.
Yeah, I like that idea because what it brings to light for me are some of the things that I think are maybe not as obvious for sellers or buyers for that matter on navigating some of those little things. Like you said, you can get in there and you might do stuff and you might spend a ton of money and just not have the ROI because you don't have the understanding of what buyers are looking for in this market.
Yeah.
And what the competition is calling for. All of those things matter, and they're a moving target.
Yeah.
So like I hear this all the time from the finance side where someone comes to me and they say like, oh, my dad told me, my uncle told me, whatever. And, you know, I try to sneak in the question of like, when was the last time they did something like this, right? Could be 10, 15 years ago. That's not today's market. Today's market isn't even last month's market.
I was just going to say that.
So it's wild to hold on to these tropes and think you know. It's way better to have the conversation with somebody.
So much wisdom in that. So let's flip the script. Let's speak just to the buyers in the room. So buyers in the room, if you're buying right now, stop waiting for the headline crash. And I feel like that is the hopium that a lot of folks are kind of tying their boat to, right? Because no one wants to be the knucklehead on the wrong side of history, right? So you wait for the perfect storm of the confluence of these several circumstances, which are completely outside of your control, to all line up as a perfect North Star so that you don't get the dumb tax in retrospect, right? And I can completely appreciate that. The win, though, is watch the micro market, right? That's where the nuance is. That's like the spelunking down in. It's not the 101 class. It's like the 201, the 401 class. Detached homes are still tight. Attached homes, though, might be where the opportunity is hiding in plain sight right now.
Yeah. I love telling the story of buying a couple years before the real estate crash.
Yeah.
Like, I was that dummy. Like, we just didn't know. We were trying to get in. It felt weird. We didn't know if the market was going to continue, and we bought. And it could have been a huge mistake. But in real estate, it's all about when you sell, just like in the stock market.
You make money on the way in,
Yeah.
you get a check on the way out.
And you don't lose money unless you're selling in a down market. But generally, we see these trends.
Yeah, good point.
So for me, that was the first home we bought. If we had sold 3 years later, we would have been stupid, but we didn't. Now that's a rental. We get to make money on it. It's worth a bunch more than we bought it for. And we bought at a pretty inconvenient time, like a year or two before that crash. And that was an attached home. So like for me, I have the experience now and the ability and the freaking gray hair to look back and say like, that wasn't a mistake. Like buy whenever you can, because 15, 20 years down the road, you're going to be stoked you did. Yeah. Right? And to think of that, it's hard when you're a buyer because like you said, you don't want to feel like you got caught holding the bag. But like if your vision is long enough, it's okay. And if the place is affordable, it's okay because you'll be able to make your payment. You're in a 30-year fixed. You can rent the damn thing out if you have to. And it's not a loss unless you sell it. And in San Diego, those opportunities of selling at a loss are few and far between, frankly. Yeah. Even if you were trying to. This is one of those markets that makes it kind of easy for you. So if you can get in and ride it, you're good to go. Don't be scared.